and welcome to Bald by... Wait, damn it.
Oh, that's my little... I hate that. I've been hissing lately, and I don't like it. Welcome to Bald by Choice, everyone, hosted by the U.S. Census.
Wait, okay. What show is this? This is Estimates. Welcome to Estimates, the show behind the numbers behind the show, the official Booster Club podcast of the U.S. Census. I'm your normal host, Joe Hawthorne.
I am your abnormal host, Hamilton Sands. Mavi's
away on, what should we call it?
Sabbatical?
Mavi's away on work sabbatical. So
the opposite of, okay, sure.
Work sabbatical. So, Hamilton, are you excited?
I'm nervous.
Okay, here we go. Episode 5.
Wow. Okay.
Count it. 5
2,
episodes.
3, 4, 5. I have Hamilton stuck in my head.
So,
Alexander Hamilton.
Do you want to ask a question first, or should I? I have one ready for you that I think you'll enjoy.
I have one ready as well. I'm just not sure how strong it is.
I'll go first because I think this will kick us off well. This really leans into the theme of Hamilton being on the show, not because of the musical, but because of the person sitting in front of me. Hamilton, give me a location.
Any location.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel like I should pick this carefully. San Francisco.
Okay. Hamilton. This actually is interesting. I'm curious what you think the number is for San Francisco. San Francisco, greater metropolitan area.
Oh shit! I don't actually know anything about. Yeah, sure. Let's say that.
Okay,
yeah.
where it's
which
hilly.
is like many cities.
Oh, okay. So like
that's
the
like
Bay,
sure.
So including Oakland.
I guess so. Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm suddenly thinking I don't even know the numbers of any of those places. But sure. How does Al come up with something?
Okay, like the techie zone, like Silicon Valley.
I know anymore.
Maybe we should pick a new location.
Let's do New York.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Coming back east. You sure?
Yes.
Okay. How many Lord of the Rings DVDs are there in New York City?
Okay. Let's again specify greater metropolitan area. We talking?
Oh, I thought you were gonna say which movies, but okay. Yes, the 5 boroughs. Let's do the 5 boroughs.
5 boroughs. Okay. Mm-hmm. So are we talking the movies or the fake standard edition movies? I'm only counting the extent. Okay, I was gonna make it.
I'm gonna say things that have Lord of the Rings in the title that are by Peter Jackson.
Okay, so not The Hobbit.
Correct.
All right. So standard or extended edition.
Mm-hmm.
How
are you going to start this calculation? Talk me through your steps.
Well, I had a feeling you were going to ask something like this, but I thought it was going to be how many books are in New York City.
No, I'm going straight to your favorite part of the Lord of the Rings.
You don't know that's true. Just saying. I love them equally. They're both my children.
Okay, so one is the smart one, one's the beautiful one. Let's keep going.
Yes. Oh, man. This is a lot like a coding interview for me because I'm thinking so much in my brain that I can't communicate it with my mouth. This is a terrible time to be a podcaster for me. All right. How would I go about doing this? I would think about the number of DVD sales in New York and the number of years that have passed. So what, it came out in 2001, 2002, 2003. There was probably a big spike in each of those years and then a steady trickle for the remaining and then probably another spike near The Hobbit.
Oh, interesting. Right. There's a buying spike near The Hobbit. Now, the thing you have to consider, I think, is over the years, the spikes are each going to go down.
That's true. It will never be as high as initially. And actually, I got mine in like 2003, 2004 as a gift.
Triple set?
Yeah. It's extended edition, DVD set, revolutionary.
Okay, I'm going to count discs. How many Lord of the Rings discs are there? Not like packs.
Oh, well, that changes the equation. Because that's an equation. That's like...
Well, some people are going to buy... Some people are going to be like, I wonder what this fellowship is. Oh, maybe I should get the Two Towers version.
Well, okay, so like the extended edition. 2 discs per movie, right? So standard edition, 1 disc per movie, but then DVDs and Blu-ray become more complex and you can fit them more stuff into 1 DVD. So now you got 1 DVD per each movie starting at some date that I am unfamiliar with.
Okay, maybe. All right. Well, let me ask you this. What do you think is a better measuring stick? Do you think discs? Do you think sets? Do you think households that have a Lord of the Rings DVD in it?
I think,
How would you measure Lord of the Rings success metrics?
I mean, it's hard to think for me of a house that would have one and not the others. But that's a lot of bias here. So that's actually an interesting question. I think the easiest one would be number of houses with any one of the Fellowship, Two Towers, or Return of the King.
Would you judge houses that have one or two but not all?
I mean, sure, but that's not what I'm here to do.
Okay, keep going. So you're gonna do the household measurement.
Yes, and I mean,
Individuals. What if there's a household where people like yourself, maybe, if you lived with another Lord of the Rings fan, you might say, "Well, I have to have mine, and someone else has to have theirs."
Oh no, there's no sharing that.
Okay, so how many people own Lord of the Rings DVDs
How many people have purchased a Lord of the Rings DVD?
and still have it in their possession? I guess you would be really upset if they didn't, but
I'm sorry. I feel like I've changed the nature of your question. Should I have I over?
you tell me the question you want to answer. It has to be Lord of the Rings DVD themed, and it has to be in New York.
I would like to. How many people have bought one of any version of the Lord of the Rings movie trilogy? One or more.
You're really confident that people aren't getting rid of them.
And still, I mean, I don't know. I feel like the person who buys that DVD is someone who's keeping that DVD. Like, I would say 90% of people who buy that DVD keep that DVD. One, because people keep DVDs for a long, long time.
True. It's something that feels like you're losing money to get rid of, even though most DVDs just take up space at this point.
Yes. But also, the DVD set for Lord of the Rings, important fun fact, was actually the first one to do the behind the, scene stuff and like commentaries
Except
and filmmaking
for Jackie
things.
Chan movies.
I mean, those
Jackie
were
Chan.
bloopers.
Well, they've been doing that for a long time.
Ooh, pardon me. Yes, but this was the first one that actually was like, here's how we made this movie. Isn't that exciting? And then people were like, that is exciting. Great. And more people started doing that DVDs. So these DVDs are more emotionally relevant, I would say.
So how many dollars have been invested in DVDs in New York City?
Oh, no, we're sticking with the original question. I think if I can think of a number of how many people have bought the DVD, I would say, sorry for banging the table. Sorry, viewers, for banging the table. If I could think of a number of, like, just number of DVDs or number of people who have bought that DVD, I'd bet 90% of that number is, like, currently owning since 2000.
Okay. So we'll take away 10% later. Let's keep going.
I mean, the easiest number would just be a ratio of some kind. My mom hates Lord of the Rings. My dad loves Lord of the Rings. So we have 50% right there.
Right.
My dad doesn't love Lord of the Rings. He's ambivalent.
Did he buy it for himself or for you?
My Uncle Howard bought me Lord of the Rings.
Oh, so does your dad have his own set of Lord of the Rings?
He does not, no.
So that's 1/3 now if we're talking about a household with one child.
He's a Star Wars guy, so yeah. Different strokes, different folks. How fantasy is... I mean, if you like fantasy genre at all, you've probably at least tried to watch or read. You've probably watched The Lord of the Rings if you like fantasy at all. I would say of all, 10... This is an interesting number. I never thought about this before. How many people would you say, or can I ask? How many people would you say like the fantasy genre?
Interesting question. I think that's separate from Lord of the Rings because I think people who like Lord of the Rings can also be movie buffs. I think they can also be people who just like to buy DVDs of movies they think are cool. So fantasy buffs, I would say 5% of people are like, I'm into fantasy, or I really love fantasy.
I was gonna go anywhere up to 20.
You think 1 out of every 5 people is...
No. I was just...
This is like my farting question all over again.
Yeah, but your answer is crazy, and mine is kind of reasonable.
Okay, so let's keep going. We got 3 more minutes.
I would say 5% is a good number of people who would buy it just on the virtue of being fantasy people. 5% of the total New York City population, which I think we established is 9 million.
Yeah.
Movie buffs, not a huge group there, but I think you could up that to about, for the etc. groups of people, 2%. I think 7% of people in New York City would have bought that DVD. And I'm really pulling that number a little bit out of my ass here. I'm no Mavi. I can't pull numbers out of my head. I can't reason, but in my heart, I think 5% of people have bought Lord of the Rings. I just have to roll with that number, given the time we have left.
Yeah, it's interesting because you're talking about almost a 20-year period of chances to buy a DVD of one of the most famous movies or one of the most acclaimed movies of the 21st century. It's tough. I feel, I gotta be honest. I feel like that question might not do justice to the DVD owning of New Yorkers today.
It's hard to say. I mean, yeah, it really tips into that. I don't know. Well, what were you
the complex question I was going to ask you is how many people own it, because that number indicates people that love their Lord of the Rings DVDs so much they will own it even in 2020, which is both a reflection of Lord of the Rings and the state of DVDs. And that's kind of the question I was going for. So, if we say that about 5 to 7% of people, maybe even 10% of people, have had a Lord of the Rings DVD purchased for them at some point. Okay, we say that's like 900,000 to 450,000 people in New York City have had a Lord of the Rings DVD. I mean, how many still own them today? You said
given the advent of streaming and for people who are emotionally attached, I maybe assume that number is too high.
90%. Yeah. So about 800,000 to 400,000 people still own a Lord of the Rings DVD.
I'm trying to imagine interviewing 20 people and asking each one of them, hey, do you own the Lord of the Rings DVDs? And I don't imagine I would get 1 out of 20.
Yeah. Maybe 1 out of 20. Maybe.
I don't think.
That's a pretty, yeah. Well, it depends what neighborhood you're in, too. If you did it in, I feel like in certain neighborhoods of Manhattan, or like Park Slope in New York, like a real bougie neighborhood.
Park Slope, I'm guessing 25% easy. That's just.
This is a hard question. I feel like we've kind of gotten closer to Lord of the Rings number, but we really don't know the state of DVDs.
I mean, it's a class question as well. It will be divided by
right.
Also a generational question because people don't buy DVDs anymore. They stream or they torrent.
But how much are they getting rid of DVDs?
Well, I mean, how much of this population is under 20 at this point in New York City? Or 20, 25? I think even people our age don't really have DVDs.
Do you count? I would count Blu-ray as DVD as well. It's DVD adjacent.
I use it as like an umbrella term for both.
Yeah.
I mean, how many of your friends your age own DVDs? Do you own a DVD?
Yeah, I mean, I own DVDs, but no one in my household has a DVD player. So it's kind of like Sophie bought me the complete first season of 24, which is, I love that gift, but it's not very playable at the current moment.
Sure. What do you think the cutoff age is for wanting to own DVDs on average?
People under 30, I think, don't want to own DVDs.
For the most part, yeah, I would say so.
But I also think people over 30 mostly don't want DVDs. I think there's an age of boomers that actually takes pride in having movie libraries, but that assumes they have the ability to play those movies. All right, so lock in your final number. What do you think is the number of people that still own?
I can't apply any logic to this. I'm lost in the weeds here. I think the number of people who still own a Lord of the Rings DVD in New York City, probably not more than 2%. I'll say 2%. So we're looking at 180,000.
Okay, I think it's going to be 1%, and I kind of worked backwards to that number because we said that at some point about 900 to 400,000 people bought it. So I think that only a tenth of the people who ever bought it still have it.
Wow, a total inversion of my estimate.
Yeah, okay. I guess it is. Yeah, so 90 to 40,000 people in New York City still own a Lord of the Rings DVD, and you are one of them.
I'm happy to be a part of that kind of elite, sure.
Does that feel kind of right that if you knew 100 people, one of them has a Lord of the Rings DVD?
Honestly, it feels a little low to me, but
Well,
I
you are
think-
that one.
I know.
So if there were 99 other people, you're like, someone else has got to own it. It's you. You're the one.
I guess that's why.
Yeah. That's
It's an unfair question to ask me, I think, is what.
Think about that for a moment. Is that you have to imagine that each of those people who owns it, it's like it's got to be more than 1%. Someone else has got to own this.
How many people do you think in New York City? I think a lot of people own Lord of the Rings DVDs.
I think a lot of people are like you.
I think it's the same number.
Yeah. Yeah, because at this point, you have to. I don't know when people are like casually owning a Lord of the Rings DVD and like, well, maybe I'll watch it later.
Oh, it has to be 1 out of 100. Yeah.
Yeah.
At the
or
very
less.
most.
Yeah.
We could probably talk.
I
I think we could see
40,000.
I could see 1,000.
No, I think it's more. Hamilton, don't beat yourself up. I think it's more than 1,000.
No,
I don't think you're one of 1,000.
I'm going to hide under the table after this.
Okay. All right. Ask me your question. We got a minute.
All right. All right, I'll just throw it at you.
Okay.
How many times have you processed, like visually recognized, the letter E in your life?
Oh, God. Explain what that means.
So, like, you might be looking at a sign, but not actually, like, read the sign. So I'm not talking about, like, times when it was in your field of vision. I'm talking about times when you were, like, reading a word and the letter E was in it.
Okay. And how, like, does if there's, like, enema, that's 2 E's that I'm processing? Yes. Okay. Well, this is interesting. This is a estimates first, where you're asking me to estimate just one man.
I mean,
that's
you
myself.
could,
I am the location.
You could fairly extrapolate from like other people. I mean, you definitely read more than others, but that's sort of it's a multiplier. I think it'll be a linear change. I don't think it'll be exponential.
Okay. You're asking me how many words do I read, and then I'm going to divide in half because I think about half the words I read have the vowel E in them.
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, or a third. It's one of the most important vowels. I'd say a third.
I was going to give you a harder letter because E is relatively common, but I wanted to give you.
Start me with an easy letter, and then I'll work my way up to hard. I'll do X later.
It was going to be X.
I mean, there's a lot of like adult stuff with X's. So
I was going to do.
Do you read adult stuff?
J. Now J is a tough one.
J is a tough one because for those listening at home, my name includes a J.
Ooh, didn't even consider that one. I just thought it was a weird letter.
Hey,
sorry.
How does one? Don't people? Okay, wait. So, isn't there some measurement for, like when kids can read a certain amount? You know, it's like a 5-year-old or a 10-year-old should be able to read 1,000 words or something. You know what I'm saying?
Like just the number of words they understand.
Yeah, something like that. There's some kind of measurement for that. So,
Yeah.
if we extrapolate that for me,
I think the
the
average number is 50,000 in the English language. I remember reading that somewhere, but
okay, I know about that many words.
Or maybe that's the maximum.
I don't know. Hamilton, I don't even know where to begin with that question. Okay, wait. I can do it this way. How many words do I read a day?
Yeah.
Okay. How many days have I been alive? Okay. So, the days I've been alive is 25 times 365 plus some more. So that's 700 and
I think it's about 90,000.
No, wait, 7,300 plus 1,800 plus another 1,000 for good measure.
Sure. Okay. Like 93,000.
Let's bump it up because I think whatever I'm going to say is going to be underestimating. So let's say I've lived 10,000 days.
Okay.
100,000,
you mean?
Are you sure? I think I'm right.
365 times 10 is 3,000. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, my bad.
100,000 days.
I don't know where I got that extra 10
Okay.
from. Okay, yeah,
Okay.
you've lived about 10,000 days, or I'm right, and you're very old.
Oh, yeah. That's why I've been doing estimates for a long time, folks. Okay. All right. Moving now. 10,000 days times the amount of words I read per day divided by 3. Okay, here we go. So that is, if I read, how many words do I read an hour? And I only am up about 18 hours a day. I would say every minute I read an average of 150 words a minute.
150 at all times, on average, because sometimes you're reading a lot and sometimes you're not reading at all.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So I'm saying 100. I don't want to be arrogant. Okay. 100.
Okay. Sure.
100 words a minute. 60 minutes. So 600 words an hour times 18.
6,000.
Times 18?
100 words a minute times 60. 100 times 60 is 6,000.
Oh, yeah. Okay, 6,000 times 18.
I need to get one thing right.
Okay. But I'm going to divide that by 3. I'm going to use my 3 divider there.
Where's your 3 divider coming from?
From the fact that a third of my words only have E's.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So 2,000
Okay.
times 18 is 36,000. 36,000 times 10,000 days is 360. Wait. 30. Okay, wait. I have to go both ways with this. Okay. 10,000 times about 100,000 times 3.6. 360,000. I've processed. That feels low.
I think you meant 360 million.
10,000.
10,000 by 36,000. So 1,000 times 1,000
okay.
is a million. Then you can take 36 by 10 and then 360.
Okay, that sounds more right. That sounds right. Okay, locking in. 360,000 E's. How many do you think I have?
Interesting. Okay, I think your 3 multipliers too much. I would do 2, in fact.
3 divider?
I think E is a very common word. E is a common word. E is a common letter, and I think it will come up multiple times. Think if you divide by 2.
So you're thinking more like 500 million.
I think increase it by 50%, your answer.
So you're thinking 540 million.
Yes.
Thank you. And that's estimates. Okay, we're locking in. If you are a word expert or a Lord of the Rings DVD expert.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. Wait. We multiplied too much. Because you have not been reading since you were 0.
Well, what do we want to say? Okay, so we'll get rid of a few million. Also, my reading.
Honestly, I think just bring it back to the original one for me.
Yeah, I guess and then bring it down for me.
Yeah,
because I guess I've been reading faster since I was like 15, or every year.
Yeah,
until a certain age, I got faster. Yeah, maybe I'm more like 250 million.
I would go around there. Yeah.
Okay, all right. 250 million words. If you're a word expert or a adult/child development expert or an E expert,
that's a
email us.
Provocative innuendo.
E expert. Email your answers to estimatespodcast@gmail.com. And if you're a Lord of the Rings DVD expert, then stop denying the fact that you are the one of your friends who has the Lord of the Rings DVD at estimatespodcast@gmail.com. Thanks so much for playing. Produced by me, co-hosted by Hamilton B. Sands and Joe Hawthorne. That's me. And music by Loco Lobo. Lottery numbers. That's right.
Really?
It's free music. I hope you all enjoy.